What does it mean to be a critical educator? A critical educator should have the capacity to truly connect with their students. And I don't necessarily mean that a teacher should become best friend to their students. Although I must admit to having personally had some close relationships with teachers in the past that did extend beyond the classroom, and those experiences are some of what I value most about my education thus far. But what I mean by connecting with their students is an educator should not consider every student the same. They need to recognize the individuality of each one. If a teacher can see their students as individuals, they can begin to appreciate the differences in their backgrounds, learning styles, and personalities. A critical educator must be willing to learn from their students. And they should expect to learn from their students as much as their students expect to learn from them. As Paulo Freire writes on the indispensable qualities of progressive teachers for their better performance, he names this trait humility, saying that it helps us to understand the obvious truth. No one knows it all, no one is ignorant of everything. Remember the Magic School Bus books by Scholastic, where the class would go on crazy adventures to learn? My favorite story was always the one where the class physically went inside a boy to learn about human anatomy. Somehow they shrunk and were eaten by him and his bag of Cheetos. As a child reading the Magic School Bus series, I was always struck by the characterization of the teacher, Miss Frizzle. I always thought her name was a reference to her red hair, which was illustrated in a frizzy mass around her head. But it was also to do with her personality. She was depicted as a slightly crazy, absent-minded professor, as though the adventures on the Magic School Bus were an accident that she hadn't planned. But Miss Frizzle was a critical educator. She was only feigning complete craziness in order to allow her students to take charge. They began to critically think about the problems presented to them. Miss Frizzle did not give any answers. She put them in situations where they came to their own conclusions. The reader experienced this discovery along with Miss Frizzle's class. The students of Miss Frizzle's class held the power of their own education. I think one of the key jobs of a critical educator is to allow students to take that kind of control over their learning. They will become empowered and confident. A teacher's job should not be to indoctrinate their students with information, but rather to assist them in obtaining knowledge through experience. Paulo Freire also stresses tolerance as a key trait among critical educators, along with what he calls a taste for permanently seeking justice. All students should feel valued. Progressive teachers hold the power to make education transformative. An educator must listen to and trust their students to make this possible. If an educator is successful, they will be sending their students out into the world as critical thinkers who hold the power to create positive change. That is what being a critical educator means to me. Thank you for listening.
Oh, teachers, are my lessons done? I cannot do another one. They laughed and said, well, child, are your lessons done? Are your lessons done? Are your lessons done?